All right, we should be live now, Ishmael.
Thank you, sir. I did see that message pop up. And I'm going to log into the YouTube and give the public a message. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ms. Fields.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Ishmael, for that assistance.
No problem.
I'm sharing my screen. Is Tom on here?
Yes.
Tom, will you need to supersede me
I'm
when
sharing my screen.
presentations are shown?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Shown.
I'll need to share my screen for the presentation. So when I do that, it should take over yours.
Okay, good evening and welcome to our open session. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
of the
United
United States
States
of
of
America
America and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
for
which it
which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
Hmm.
Thank you. Shay, may I have a roll call, please, to establish a quorum?
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Coleman,
Yes, present.
Ms. Morrell,
Present.
Ms. Lane,
Here.
Ms. Jackson,
Here.
Dr. May,
present,
who am I missing?
Miss Tisworth,
Ms. Tisworth, Miss
present.
Miss Williams. Thank you.
Present. Thank you. Next, we will move to our Board of Education norms read by our Board Vice President, Ms. Tisworth.
Can I ask that I don't have it on my computer,
Hold
the
on.
norms.
Hold on. I gotta go a different route. Give me 1 second. My apologies. They haven't fixed my okay, there you go.
Okay. Board of Education norms. Number one, cohesive team. We will remember to put students at the center of every decision. Number two, pause after someone speaks to hear all voices. Number three, consider and respect all opinions without judgment. Number four, strive to assume positive intentions from all members. Number five, the board will honor the board policy related to the implementation of Robert's Rules of Order Policy BCB. The number two, collective agreement. The board will honor policy BBF, school board member ethics. Use collective voices to reach decisions. Honor and respect the work of the board. Honoring and supporting the board decision at all times. Align with board policy and procedures. Be prepared for meetings. The board will review the package details and submit questions within the established timeframe. Questions at the meeting should be limited and specific to information not presented in the packet detail. No surprises at the meeting. Extend courtesy for each member's question. Members of the board will arrive 10 minutes prior to the start of the meeting if possible. Administration will release board packets to the River Gordon School Board of Education within the identified time frame. Move it up some, Shay. Not allow outside entities to dictate board actions. River Gordon School District Board of Education decisions will be made based on facts, policy, and procedures, not individual opinions or requests. Number two, educate and encourage the community to follow proper protocol for voting concerns. I think it's voicing concerns. Policy, KC, community engagement. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Tisworth. Next, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
This is Veronica. I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Has been moved by Ms. Tisworth and seconded by Ms. Moore Real to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry.
I just want to make an amendment, to include us returning to, closed session at the conclusion of the meeting,
Okay,
according to, revised statute, section 610-021, section 1, 3, and 13.
okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair, we need a second on that amendment.
May I have a second?
This is Veronica.
second.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Somebody-
yes.
Somebody
Yes.
said it before me, so.
Okay, it has been moved by Dr. May and seconded by Ms. Moore Real. Any further discussions on that motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we will move to our Riverview Excellence.
All right, good evening, Board of Education members, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and community. Tonight for Riverview Excellence, we have two individuals now. I did reach out to them and invite them to tonight's board meeting, but we also let them know that we will invite them to the February 10 board meeting to receive their acknowledgements in person as well. But for Review Excellence, we have two individuals, Diane Roche, Administrative Assistant for Curriculum and Instruction, and Roderick McIntyre, Instructional Assistant at Gibson Elementary. Ms. Roche has been a part of Riverview Gardens for many years. She was nominated by a colleague, Lorinda Hutt. She says, since our days volunteering at Meadows Elementary, Diane Roche's commitment to students and families of Riverview Gardens School District were apparent. As a district employee, her work ethic and level of attained expertise forged the progress of the administrators, teachers, secretaries, parents, staff, and students. Her emails are so precise and timely that one's success is all but guaranteed simply by following her step-by-step emails with detailed district protocols and procedures. And I can attest to that. Ms. Roche definitely sends us very detailed emails. She's been in the district for quite some time, and seeing her grow professionally has been inspiring. When I began work in the Office of Curriculum Instruction, my knowledge and skill set needed support. Diane stepped up and has shared her wealth of knowledge without hesitation. Again, that's from Miss Lorinda Hutt. But we definitely want to salute Miss Roche. Her patience and clerical acumen is beyond proficient. Her attention to detail is to be commended. So we want to commend Ms. Roche for the great job that she does in the time that she's been in the district. I believe, she is here on the call. Ms. Roche, if you just want to say hi. All right. And then Roderick McIntyre, he went above and beyond the call of duty. And this as an instructional coach, it should be instructional assistant. But if you may recall on January 14, Gibson suffered a damaged water pipe, and it led to some flooding on the floor and in the classrooms and one of the hallways. And Mr. McIntyre jumped into action, supported the facilities team. There's some photos of him operating heavy machinery, helping to get that water up off of the floors and the hallways in the classroom. And he really just went above the call of duty by trying to make sure that Gibson Elementary had a dry, clean learning environment as soon as possible. And so we want to salute Roderick McIntyre for helping to support facilities and helping to return Gibson Elementary to a positive learning environment.
And I do too, Mr. Sistrunk, thank you. I do want to thank them both. Diane has been with us for many, many years and has worked to make sure CNI was run effectively and efficiently. And I was personally over at Gibson for our second winner, and he was effective. He barely looked up to say anything. He was working so hard because he wanted the classroom ready to receive students and to receive teachers. So hats off to both of them. They do an excellent job.
And Mr. McIntyre is on the meeting as well. I just got a text. So if you want to say hello, Mr. McIntyre.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
joining.
You and Diane, thank you.
And hopefully you can both join us on February 10. So put that on your calendar so the board can see you in person and get the full Riverview Excellence experience.
Okay, thank you.
And that concludes Riverview Excellence.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shea, do we have any patrons for public comment?
No, ma'am, we do not. I did not receive any in advance of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to our next item agenda. Next, we have announcements. Do any of our board members have any announcements?
This is Veronica. I just wanted to thank the person, I don't have her name in front of me, that agreed to represent Riverview Gardens on the special school district's parent committee. And so I can't remember her name, but I'll check my other records later and probably try to send an email to her. And I want to thank Wanda Lane for bringing it to my attention.
Thank you. Board members, do we have any other announcements?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I would like to remind everyone that on February 7th, Bell Fountain Neighbors will be having their Black History celebration featuring the Riverview Gardens School District Marching Band and an alumna of our school district. So please come out and be a part of this community celebration.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next we will move to our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I so move. This is Veronica.
Second is Ms. Jackson.
Okay, and has been moved by Ms. Morrill and seconded by Ms. Jackson to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The consent agenda is approved. Okay. Next, we have our reports. Dr. Patton, our student representatives, and the superintendent report.
I don't believe we have any. Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't believe we have our student reps in our meeting. So I will move on to the superintendent report. First, I want to thank all of our community, our parents and our students for their patience as we navigated the inclement weather over the last couple of days. I do want to thank our maintenance team and Mr. Gerald Freeman in leading that to make sure that all of our buildings were ready to receive students. In addition, I want to thank First Student for driving around the district to make sure they're able to navigate the streets so that we can get our students there successfully. I do want to remind parents that attendance is important even on AMI days. As I shared in the letter that I sent to parents, we lose, Riverview Gardens loses approximately $2 million a year based on our attendance rate. So that funding that we're losing takes away from providing for our students and making sure that they're getting the best opportunities, making sure that they have better support with classroom instruction, learning materials, and student support services, as well as enrichment opportunities. So I can't stress enough the importance of students attending in person when we are in person, but as well as on AMI days. We will return to in-person instruction tomorrow. Tomorrow's a late start Wednesday, so I want to remind parents of that and ask them to be very patient because some of our communities are still snow impacted, and so our buses will have to take their time in order to ensure the safety of our students. So we're asking students to get there a little earlier, stay there a little later at their bus stops, but all buses will run tomorrow and we will hit every bus stop to pick up our scholars. Parents, please make sure that your students return their assigned work because returning the assigned work as well as showing up in the virtual classrooms allows us to count their attendance for AMI days. So please, please, please make sure your students return the work. I do want to mention that we are running a Prop N. Prop N means no increase, no tax increase. I want to make that clear to our parents. The N stands for it's a no tax increase. I do want to mention that in 24-25, it was identified that Riverview Gardens, as I've shared many times, was projected to have a $23 million deficit. At that time, we began the process of right-sizing our district, and we were able to reduce a $23 million deficit down to a $10 million deficit, or a projected $10 million deficit. In addition, we recently brought another plan to reduce even more So we are hopeful that we can get that $10 million down even more. In the end, we are still projected to be at a deficit, and we are working with and devising ways to not only continue to reduce our budget, but also increase revenue. One of the ways is this Prop N that we are running. It will be on the ballot in April. And again, so that our families know this will not increase your excuse me, taxes in any way. This is a way for us to generate revenue. If passed, Prop N would allow us to transfer some of the taxes which are already being collected. I want to make that clear. These are taxes that are already being collected, that we will be able to use some of it to help support the district. So I'm asking parents to get out and vote and make sure that your voices are heard. Again, you will hear this over and over and over and over and over. Prop N means no tax increase. So this will not increase taxes for our community in any way. I also, at our next meeting, I will give the community an update on the governor's State of the State address, which will affect school funding across Missouri, not just specific to Riverview Gardens, but across Missouri. So this Prop N, this no tax increase, will be on the ballot again in April. I'm asking our community to come out and support it. And just know this is money that is already being collected, and you are giving us permission to use some of it to help support the district in a different way. So, Madam President, that concludes my superintendent's announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Patton. Now we will move to items for information.
Our first item up for information is the data presentation for Gibson Elementary School. Making this presentation is Ms. Barbara Sharp, Executive Director of Continuous Improvement, and Dr. Crystal Henderson, Principal of Gibson Elementary School. This presentation is in conjunction with two policies, Policy IA and Policy IGAB, Instructional Goals and Instructional Interventions. Ms. Sharp?
Yes, good evening, Superintendent Patton, members of the Board of Education, colleagues, and certainly members of this wonderful community. Tonight, we have a presentation from Gibson Elementary School. Included in the presentation, you will receive information in terms of the attendance, pupil attendance, ELA, English Language Arts, and math performance, as well as a map comparison. In conclusion, the principal will provide information regarding celebrations of the school. We understand that brevity has its point, and at this point, we will be sure to be succinct and to make sure that we are covering the key information that is needed to keep the community informed. At this time, we will receive Dr. Crystal Henderson. Dr. Henderson.
Good evening, RGSD Board of Education, Superintendent Patton, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I am presenting to you the data presentation for Gibson Elementary School. On the agenda tonight, we have attendance, math performance, ELA performance, our map comparison report, and then data-specific celebrations. As we move on to slide 3, I want to go through our attendance so far for the 25-26 school year. We know how important this is and how much Dr. Patton has been stressing to us, making sure that our scholars are at school every day, on time, and ready to learn. Gibson Elementary has had a consistent 80A, but our 90-90 has shown a decline. In August, we started out with 94.37% ADA and also had 78.78% 90-90. And then as we moved on throughout the year, as it started to become colder, we noticed that our 90-90 started to decline. And to date, for January, we for 90-90 are at 45.75%, and our ADA is at 78.13%. To specifically address some of these declining numbers, our attendance team that does meet every week has not been consistently meeting. And so because we have met recently and talked about our declining attendance for our 90-90, We decided that it's time to, for one, get back to the practices that we have been doing. And so, with that being said, we have followed up with our families who have chronic absences, and we place them on attendance contracts. We also have started classroom challenges. So those classrooms who are at 100% attendance or have the highest rate of attendance for the end of the month receive a pizza party. And then we're also honoring our parents who are supporting with getting our scholars to school on time. And we are starting weekly certificates for them, also giving them a certificate. And then we also have Panda Express meal tickets for them so that they can take their family to receive a meal versus having to cook that night.
Dr. Henderson, before you move on off of this screen, I do want to, can you explain to our community what ADA means and what 90/90 means? We're using the terms, they may not always understand that. And also, I do want to mention that over the last, we have a new student information system, and it had not been calculating our attendance correctly. I do understand that we are close to it being totally correct now. Are you sure that the 45.7% is the accurate attendance for? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
No, ma'am.
All right.
No,
I wanted to make that known because we implemented a new student information system within our district. Several districts are using the same student information system, and all of the districts are having difficulty with accurately accounting for attendance in all of the districts. So that particular organization is working with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, working with them to ensure that our attendance is calculating correctly. So it's still not there, but they are getting there. I do want to mention that.
Thank you for bringing that to light, Dr. Patton, because when we talk about these numbers, it's
Right.
just hurting us. We're like, what is happening? We have not done anything that different, but our numbers are steady declining, and we're like, this can't be right. And so when we talk about our average daily attendance, that's the percentage of our students that are showing up to school every day. Our 90/90 attendance are those students that are showing up 90% of the time, 90% of the school day, right? So our average daily attendance is those number of students that come every day, right? So we have an average of 94 to 78% that's showing up between August and January. But then out of those students that are showing up every day, when we calculate their 90/90, which means they are at school 90% of the time and 90% of that school day, that's where or also known as proportional attendance, as we've stated before in board presentations. So 90/90 is also stated as our proportional attendance, those students that are there 90% of the time, 90% of the day. And that's the number that we really want to focus on and that we want to increase and make sure that we keep above, 70, 80, 90%. That's the numbers that we really want to hone in on and make sure that we are targeting.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson, for explaining that.
You're welcome. As we move on to our next slide, when we talk about the math comparison data by grade level, this is our STAR data. And for the 25, so at the end of the presentation, I'm going to highlight these numbers where we've seen some good growth. But I just want to, go through and talk about our STAR data for math and for ELA. This is math. You notice that kindergarten is blank because kindergarten does not test in that area for the STAR assessment. STAR is our benchmark assessment for the district that we take 3 times a year. We take it in the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. And right now we have results from the beginning of the year and for the middle of the year. And so those are our fall percentages and our winter percentages that you see on the screen. We are keywords, foundation, building that foundation that Dr. Patton likes to talk about because kindergarten through second grade are those foundational grade levels that we want to make sure that we are building and we have strong, so that we can continue to build upon that foundation in third, fourth, and fifth grade. And as we look at our data for first grade, we had 22.5% of our scholars that were below basic at the beginning of the year, and that number shifted in the for the middle of the year down to 19.2%. And so when we talk about below basic numbers, we want to see that number decrease, and we want to see proficient and advanced increase. We get, as we move to MAP testing, we get points for moving those students out of below basic and into basic, and also increasing our proficient and advanced. And so we want to continue to move those scholars out of below basic. It's always good to see when you have under 50% of your scholars, or even 30% of your scholars, that are in the basic category or even in the below basic category, because then that means that you have more scholars that are in proficient and advanced. And with our first grade data, you can see that 23.9% of our scholars were proficient at the beginning of the year. And then when we hit the middle of the year, 35.6% of those scholars became proficient. We did lose about 5 points in the advanced category for first grade. But again, those students did move still to proficient. So they stayed in the proficient category and didn't move down to basic or below basic. Same with second grade, decreasing our number from 62% to 59% for below basic, and then increasing that proficient and advanced from 9.8% to 13.6%, and then from 8.2 to 5.1. But again, moving to 5.1 means that those scholars did not jump down to basic or below basic, they moved to proficient. So the trajectory across the board for third, fourth, and fifth grade is that we want to also do the same. And as we are slowly but surely having small pockets of growth, especially in third grade, moving our proficient scholars in math from 6.7% to 12.3%, we want to continue to increase those numbers of proficient and advanced scholars. Same for ELA as we move to the ELA slide. One of the biggest accomplishments for us were our kindergarten scholars. They have really been working hard down in those classrooms, and we were able to move 47% of those scholars from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year from below basic to 32% below basic. And then, as you can see, they went in proficiency from 19% to 41%. So we are so ecstatic about that foundation that we're building. Same with our second grade scholars. We were able to increase their proficiency from 10% to 22%. We were able to increase the advanced scholars from 8% to 10%. Again, small pockets, but we're building on top of that foundation. And so we are anticipating continued growth throughout the school year, so that by the end of the year, we will continue to see increases in those numbers. And I'll talk about that at the end of the presentation when we talk about our celebrations. So also for ELA, we noticed that our fourth and fifth grade scholars have been doing a little bit of work with decreasing those numbers in below basic and basic, and we want to continue to shift those scholars to proficient and advanced. We were kind of at a deficit. These are those scholars who, were at the end of that COVID era, but we are still working with them, maintaining, even though we have a lot of them on reading plans, we are doing targeted interventions in the building wide for these scholars, and then also classroom interventions to make sure that we are supporting the growth and learning that is going on. When we talk about the MAP comparison data, we want to say, so Gibson Elementary School has a roller coaster effect for some reason. We'll start low and then we'll go high, and then we'll go back low and then we'll go back high. And unfortunately, we hit one of those low years for 2025 for our MAP data. And I just want to stress that this is cohort data. So those students, those scholars who were in third grade in 2023. This is a trajectory following that cohort. So those third grade scholars in 24 were now fourth grade, and those in 25, those scholars are now fifth graders that have now gone on to sixth grade. But we wanted to still highlight the cohort data that we have for them, right? And so when we talk about the ELA data, we had 72.5% of them that were below basic. But by the time they hit fifth grade, there were only 35.7% of them that were below basic, moving them from 23.8% basic to 50% by the time they hit fifth grade. And so those are some great numbers, because in third grade, none of them were advanced, and they ended their fifth grade year with 1.7% of them that were advanced, and they moved from 3.8% proficient to 12.5% proficient for ELA. And then when we move into their mathematics, 77.7% of them were below basic in third grade, but by the time they moved to fifth grade, we went from 73.2% of them being below basic. Same with proficient and advanced. Unfortunately, we did not get any of those scholars to advanced, but we did increase their proficiency for fourth grade, and then we did go down a little when they got to fifth grade. So they moved from 3.1% in third grade to 5.1% proficiency in fourth grade, and then back down to 3.5% proficiency in fifth grade. One thing that we did notice is that our math scores were not as high as we had anticipated. And so we started doing more targeted math intervention throughout the building. And we're hoping that at least 15% or more of our 3 through 5 scholars will be scoring proficient and advanced by the time we take the 2026 MAP assessment. For our science, we'll notice that 67.5% of that fifth grade cohort in 23 was below basic. And then that cohort is now in eighth grade. The 24 cohort is now in seventh grade. And then the 25 cohort is now in sixth grade. And so 76.7% of those scholars last year in science were below basic. And we are making sure that we are doing, again, more targeted lessons for science so that we can increase our proficiency in advanced students in science for this school year. Again, for ELA, we are on this trajectory, hoping that at least 30% or more of our scholars in 3 through 5 will be scoring proficient and advanced in ELA. And then we are hoping to have at least 7 to 10% of our scholars scoring proficient and advanced this year for science for 2026. Celebrations that are data specific. Our kindergarten scholars scoring proficient and advanced on their STAR moved from 34% at the beginning of the year to 52% in the middle of the year for ELA. Our second grade scholars scoring proficient and advanced on STAR moved from 18% at the beginning of the year to 32% in the middle of the year for ELA. Our first grade scholars scoring proficient and advanced on STAR moved from 52% at the beginning of the year to 58% in the middle of the year in math. And then our third grade scholars decreased the number of scholars scoring basic on STAR from 35% at the beginning of the year to 26% for the middle of the year. And with that, they increased the number of scholars scoring proficient from 6% to 12% for the middle of the year data. We can attribute these to the foundations that are being built in kindergarten through second grade and our tier 1 strategies that we have been doing school-wide. And with that, I am finished. Are there any questions?
Great.
Good job, Dr. Henderson. Good job. Good job. And in pouring a lot of resources at that foundational level. I mean, if we can do that, then as our students matriculate through, they will score very well. So thank you for focusing at that kindergarten, second grade level to move our students. That's going to be meaningful in years to come. So thank you for doing that.
You're very welcome. Thank you all.
Our next item up for discussion is the Fall 2025 Climate and Culture Survey results. Making this presentation is Mr. Ishmael Sistrunk. He's the Executive Director of Communications, and this presentation is in conjunction with Policy KB and KC, Public Information and Community Engagement. Ishmael, I love the picture. You've got the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Patton. And this is in your folder, FYI.
Oh, good. That might end up on the wall. So thank you.
You're welcome. Good evening again. Excuse me. The Climate and Culture Survey. These are the results from the fall survey. This survey was run during the month of November. And I was very pleased with the response. When I gave the communications program review, I talked about our goal with the survey really was to get a larger response. That's been an area where we've struggled. And so this year, I believe we had the highest numbers across the board, 123 parent and community responses. We still want to see more, but that's more than we've had over the past 4 or 5 years that we've done this survey. Older students, 663 responses. Younger students, 329. Again, older students are grades 6 through 12. Younger students are grades 3 through 5. And staff, 266 responses. So I want to give a big shout out to our parents, to our teachers and principals for really providing an opportunity for the scholars to take the surveys, and to our staff. We always get pretty good staff responses. We always want more, but staff is usually pretty strong. But our student responses were outstanding, and that's a testament to our principals and our staff for really making it available, and for the students for taking the time to fill out the survey. And you can see these are the responses. Spring was pretty low. Fall is usually better than the spring, but this year was definitely stronger. When it comes to safety, pretty much all the different levels rated the school safe or somewhat safe. There were 4 options, and so safety is a relative strength for our district. And that has been pretty flat over the past couple of years. It's just been a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 points one way or another. Support and belonging, 81% of staff feel somewhat or very safe or supported. 71% of younger students feel they are part of the community. 69% of the older students. And again, this is pretty flat, pretty consistent over the past couple of years. Support systems exist, but we still have work to do. Communication and voice. 77% say of parents or community say that we communicate somewhat or very effectively. 80% of staff, 80% of staff also feel encouraged to share ideas with leadership. 66% of older students feel their school communicates important information well, and 73% of younger students feel encouraged to talk to a counselor or someone if they need help. And so communication, this has been trending over the past 4 years, and the positive direction is getting stronger each and every year. One notable change is that from parents, if you look at it a year ago, we were at 64% that's responded favorably, where this year we were up to 77%. So a very good increase for our parents in communication. Respect and relationships. One of the notable things is that it seems like all the groups rate the student to student relationships or the respect in a way that's lower than we would like. So that's something that we definitely have to work on. Parents at 67%. Again, this is student and student interactions. Staff rated at 58% favorable. Older students, 43% favorable. So that's something we're going to have to go to the students, go to our staff members and figure out how we can improve that. Respect amongst staff is rated pretty highly, 84% from staff and 70% from older students. So the adult relationships are strong. Peer-to-peer respect is an opportunity for improvement. Engagement, this is an area where we have struggled for years, and this shows 59% of staff say they participate regularly or very often, 49% of parents, the same. Older students, 51% in school activities regularly or often participate, and younger students, 67 join activities. So we definitely want to improve that engagement, especially with the parents, especially with the students. And so that's something that we're going to continue to work towards. In our own words, these are just some questions that told people to select one word. So choose one word that describes your experience. This was for older students. The bigger the word is, the more people that had that response. So good, that's a good one to have. Fun, also for older students. When you come over to the right, what do you believe is the biggest strength of our school district? That was asked to parent and community. You see communication is the largest. Community, students, parents, teachers, all of those were said often. What's the best thing about your school? This was for younger students. Recess, you see that's large. I agree with the students there. I think we need some recess for staff, Dr. Patton. Teachers, math, friends. So some positive points there. And then for staff, what was one word you would choose to describe your experience in RGSD? Challenging, and that can be good, definitely. Interesting, rewarding, hopeful, good, family. So those just show some of those responses that were made often. Overall, this year, 77% of parents and community members rated the overall climate as good or excellent. 82% of staff rated the climate of their school or department as good or excellent. 64% of older students, 57% of younger students. Now, I did dig deeper into that number. For the younger students, we still had 5 answers. So 35% of the younger students picked okay. So they didn't rate it negatively. On all the other surveys, we only have 4 options. So they were kind of forced to pick something positive or something a little more negative. And just a comparison, as you can look over the past, again, it's been pretty steady with parents and community over the past 3 surveys. Older students, we had a bump in the spring, but we didn't have that many students take it. So I think that's why we had that. Younger students, again, that it's lower, but I think some of that is everybody taking the median, and then staff. We have a big increase where we're at 82. In the spring, we're at 69. And last fall, we were at 75%.
Ishmael, I feel like we're playing follow the bouncing ball. I see that ball moving across your screen.
All right, that concludes the presentation. Are there any questions?
So I do. So first of all, you can meet me in front of Central Services tomorrow morning. We can have a snowball fight. That's going to be our recess.
Right.
We'll pick teams. I do want to, you mentioned our staff, and earlier in my comments, I shouted out the maintenance staff, but I also want to shout out our teachers, because teaching virtually is not easy, and maintaining the attention of our students on a virtual classroom is not easy. So let me also take a moment to shout out our staff, our teachers, because they took AMI on today, and my understanding is they did a great job. And so I do want to say to them, thank you. Having attempted when the pandemic first started to get the attention of over 500 and some odd students on a virtual call, it is difficult. So hats off to our teachers for the work that they did. Ishmael, also hats off to our teachers for also making sure that our students also took the survey, because that's important that we allow time in the day, because we want to make sure that we are creating the best environment possible for them, but also your persistence in getting it out over and over and over. So thank you for that as well.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, or comments, we can move on to the next item. Our next item for information is our CSIP presentation, College and Career Readiness. Making this presentation is our very enthusiastic College and Career Coordinator, Ms. Khadijah Tijan. Ms. Tijan. Oh, by the way, this presentation is in conjunction with Policy IA, Instructional Goals and Priority Objectives. Ms. Tijan.
Thank you, Dr. Patton. Good evening, Riverview Gardens School Board, Dr. Patton, colleagues, and community. My name is Khadijah Tijan, and I am the College and Career Coordinator. Typically, you guys hear the CSIP update for the College and Career Readiness Department later in the year. However, a value of the leadership team and I is that we be responsive to the questions and concerns of our community. And as you recall, during our DESE public meeting, we had a lot of questions come up about college and career readiness, in particular about the points that we lost. And so we felt it'd be appropriate that we move up the presentation so that we can respond to any questions, concerns, and then also talk about how we are moving forward, because as you know, there's still more work to do. Next slide, please. So tonight we're going to talk about what college and career readiness is under MSIP 6. We're going to talk about performance metrics. We're going to talk about some of the challenges and some of the solutions that we are facing in college and career readiness and how we are overcoming them. And then we're going to respond to some of those public hearing questions that we had during the share out time, because we felt it was really, really important to answer those really great questions that were asked. And then we're going to talk about a portrait of a graduate, and then we're going to wrap up with any questions that the board or community may have. Next slide, please. So I think as we talk about CCR and as we talk about APR, it's important to kind of make sure that we're kind of singing from the same sheet of music. So the APR report is divided into two sections: performance and continuous improvement. Performance kind of focuses on those student outcomes that you've already heard about earlier today. So ACT scores, EOCs, MAP, etc. And that is worth 70% of the score. Continuous improvement focuses on the work that the district is doing towards improving those outcomes. So our CSIP, so you already heard about our climate and culture surveys, ICAP, and attendance. College and career readiness is really unique in that it falls under both performance and continuous improvement. So performance, students taking certain courses, students performing well in those courses, continuous improvement, ICAP, which is the individual career and academic plan for every student, making sure that all students are following what their plan is, so that whenever they hit high school graduation, it's not like, oh, well, what do I do now? But that they have a plan afterwards. Next slide, please. So these are our points that we have received from the most recent APR report. So advanced credit refers to AP courses. It refers to dual enrollment. It refers to dual credit courses, IB classes, things like that. The amount of possible points that a school can get is 10. We received 7.5 of those points. Last year, we did receive 10. Later in the presentation, we'll talk a little bit about why that decreased slightly this year. College and career assessments, that refers to your ACT, so your American College Testing, your SAT, your ACT work keys, so those students who are possibly interested in going into the workforce, taking the exam to kind of see what their workplace skills are, ASFAB, and AccuPlacer. ASFAB is the military entrance exam, and AccuPlacer is a test usually done at trade schools or at community colleges for placement for students within college coursework. The more amount of points possible for that is 10. We've gotten none, and we'll talk a little bit about that later in the presentation as well. Graduate follow-up. We, as a school district, are required to follow up with our graduates 180 days after they graduate. The most amount of points you can get is 4. We are proud to say that we get all 4 of those points because our students do reach back out and they're connected to us. And also when we call, they do answer. So we appreciate that. CTE expansion. CTE stands for Career and Technical Education. So think like back when I was in high school, your shop class. But for us, we have a lot of business courses. We have a lot of family and consumer science courses. And then also our partnership with North Tech. You can get 2 points for that. We got none. And again, we will talk a little bit about that in the presentation later. ICAP, again, is that individual career and academic plan. Every student beginning in 8th grade has to have what is called an individual career and academic plan, or ICAP, on file, meaning discussing what it is that they would like to do when they grow up and what pathways that they're going to try to get there. That is worth 4 points. We got all 4 points because we do a good job of really talking to the students about their future and their life after high school. And then finally, graduation rate. Graduation rate is split with 4-year graduation rate, and then the 5, 6, and 7 rate. So the max amount of points is 20, and we got 10. So as you saw on the previous slide, the most amount of points we can get is 140. College and career readiness is responsible for 50 of those points. We earn 25.5 of those points. Next slide, please. And so how the points are calculated, specifically for our college and career assessments where we got 0 points. A few months ago, we had a good conversation with DESE to identify what areas we can do to improve so that we can go toward full accreditation, because it is full steam ahead. And one of the areas that they identified that we also were aware of was college and career readiness assessments. But as we've discussed before in front of this board, some of the challenges that we face. Our students need to score at least 40%, at least 40% of our graduating seniors need to score in that yellow range, right? That 18 or above on the ACT or its equivalent. We use ACT kind of as our standard bearer because we administer ACT a lot, but we within the schools and on the weekends. But we also have expanded our use of ACT work keys as well within the schools for our students, especially for our students who are going into the workforce. And so if a student needs to get a 4 for work keys in all areas in order to get that 0.75. All of our students are required to take at least 2 tests. So it's usually ACT and work keys, but also we understand and we honor that our students go other places. And so they might want to consider taking the ASFAB because they might be interested in enlisting in the military, or AccuPlacer if they know for sure that they want to go to the community college or trade or a tech school. Next slide, please. So for the last few years, we have been rocking at a graduating class of about 260 students. So in order for us just to get that 5 points, as I stated earlier, 40% of our students need to get an 18 or above. And what that looks like is we could have 30 students not take the test. And usually our students that don't take the test are usually students who are exempt from testing for accommodations and such. But we need to have 109 students scoring an 18 or above on the ACT or its equivalent to get the 5 points. Next slide, please. And so kind of our results. So we had 163 students who took the ACT total. From that, we had 16 students scoring at a 0.75 range. So they scored between an 18 and a 21. And then we had 3 students who scored at a 22 or higher or its equivalent. And we had 1 student scoring at a 26 or higher on the ACT. Some of these numbers, because we do have students who do take multiple tests last year. So some of the numbers, if they look like, wait, how come there's a lot of numbers and duplicates? It's because we do, it is an expectation that our students take multiple tests as the state takes the highest one. Last year, we had 28 students take the ASFAB. We had 4 students take Accuplacer, and we had 71 students take work keys. Of the 71 students that took work keys, 8 of our students scored in the 0.75 range or a 4 or higher, and then 1 student basically got a perfect score on the work keys, and so they got that 1.25. And so once you kind of do those calculations that I had on that last page, we had about 34%. So close, but not too, but no cigar. So 40%, we had 34%. So we are close. We have been making a lot of movement towards that 40%. When I first came into the role, we were at 18%. And then last year we were at 30%. And so now we're at 34%. So we are slowly making progress toward that 40%. Next slide, please. Advanced credit. So advanced credit, again, are those AP classes, IB classes, Project Lead the Way, IRCs, which stands for Industry Recognized Credentials, that is offered through our career and technical education courses, and our dual enrollment and dual credit classes. And so just by offering these and students participating in these and getting either a B or higher in an AP class, or a B or higher in a dual credit or dual enrollment course, we can get at least 1 point. And then if our students take the AP exam in May and they get a 3 or higher, we can get 1.25 points. And that is the high, and we don't offer IB courses at this time. So that is how we can get points there. Next slide, please. So our target for that is that we have 130 students obtaining an industry recognized credential, participating in dual enrollment or dual credit or an AP course in order to obtain full points. Last year, we had 121 students for the class of 2025 obtaining an IRC, a dual enrollment, participating in dual enrollment or dual credit or an AP course. So again, really, really, really close, but no cigar. It was at 40, it's probably 47%, and that is how we got the 7.5. Next slide, please. CTE expansion. So CTE expansion really refers to our districts adding more career and technical education programs. As we know, the career plans of students are changing. Back in the day, it used to be, oh, everybody wants to go to college. Now, lately, a lot of our students are exploring their options and their opportunities, and career technical education programs really really provide those hands-on experiences while in high school to gain those skills so that when they graduate, they are career ready. The Riverview Gardens, we partner with a special school district with North Tech to provide additional college and technical education programs. And usually they expand every year. And we were relying on them to expand every year. However, they did not submit an application because they did not plan to. Expand, and so we did not get the points for CTE expansion. Also, we do get Perkins funds. That is how we fund our CTE programs. And had we known that North Tech was not planning to expand, we possibly would have submitted a form to expand in other programs as well so that we could get those points. But we didn't want to submit a new program without a guarantee that we would have the funds or the teachers to cover it. In order to get a CTE points for that, and even to host CTE classes, and for our students to get the industry recognized credential, they need to be taught by a certified CTE teacher. And as we know, we are in a teacher shortage, and CTE is no exception to that. And so we did not want to submit for CTE expansion if we weren't sure that we would have the funds or the teachers to cover it. And then finally, we know that we are in a different educational environment. And so there was a conference that we have to go to every year that talks about CTE. And again, because we were not aware of the different policies that are coming down from this administration, and we did not want to ever be in the position to give money back, we decided to hold off. But this year we will be submitting an application, and I will be talking a little bit about that later in the program as well. Next slide, please. So some of our challenges, as we've talked about in the past, but I want to keep kind of bringing this to the forefront, math proficiency. So some of our students really do struggle with math, and it affects their performance on the ACT and the ASVAB and the work keys in particular. Those tests and the way they are scored, they are averaged by each section of the test. And so if our students do really, really well on the reading and the writing parts of those exams, but if they struggle on one section like the math, it brings their whole score down and they're not scoring in those higher ranges. These scores really do, as we kind of have looked at it, there's a huge correlation between end of course exams and Algebra 1, where students also kind of show lower proficiency as well. That curve that we see, and for that, we also see in other assessments as well. We also know that some of our students kind of have test taking anxiety, and they're not used to taking a stamina test, right? So ACT, if you remember when you were in high school, it was about 4 hours. And even though ACT has made a lot of changes to reduce that time, our students are not used to sitting for 2.5 hours with a 10-minute break, going back to back to back to back. That is a skill that we have to build. And so I think when students are kind of hearing that, they're a little anxious about taking that exam, especially when they know the importance of it. And kind of along those lines, a limited exposure to that standardized test format kind of contributes to why our students don't initially do well the first time. But what we have seen is that when our students do take the test the second or the third time, their scores on average do go up 2 to 3 points. And then finally, one of the issues that we've kind of seen and some of the challenges that we've seen with our students is that they really don't see the relevance of those exams to their future goals. A lot of colleges are going test optional. And so for a lot of our high achieving students, a lot of them are like, well, but I'm still getting accepted into colleges. So is it really important that I take the ACT that second or that third time? And sometimes, you know, that could kind of lead to a lack of incentive or to want to take it again, especially when it was hard the first time. And in some cases, maybe they were traumatized by it. I know I was the first time. And then a little bit less for our, as I talked about earlier, our less certified CTE teachers available. And then we are currently in an uncertain educational policy environment. Again, especially in regards to CTE, we have gotten, I know just in the last year, we've gotten different guidance around reporting, around what counts for IRCs, what tests you can take, as well as what reporting is going to be needed in order to maintain our Perkins funds. And because of that uncertain policy environment, we want to make sure that we toe the line because we never want to be in a position to give money back. Next slide, please. So some solutions. So in talking to the leadership team and also in talking to students, we decided we came across these following solutions. The first thing is clarifying graduation expectations. So last month, we sent out an email blast to all students, letting them know that the expectation is that they take 2 assessments. And it's not just to help our accreditation points, but it's also for them to understand that they have a breadth of talents. Just because they don't do well on one test doesn't mean that they're not going to do well on another. As we've discussed before, we've seen our students who may not do well on the ACT excel on work keys because they're in a workplace environment, and a lot of the things that they're asking on the work keys exam they already do. So we clarified that expectation to students. We communicated that with the 5 things you should know. It is posted prominently on our website. And also students, whenever they have those one-on-ones with me, it is emphasized. This year, we will be expanding our partnership with St. Louis Community College. This year, they are rolling out what is called CTE Academy. So students will have different opportunities to get credentials in drone piloting, health sciences, early childhood education, as well as advanced manufacturing. And those are just some of the programs that they're going to be doing. So later on this semester, an MOU will be coming before the board to expand our partnership with the community college, and for us to also submit our CTE expansion. We're also looking into cost sharing partnerships with other districts for CTE teachers, because again, there is a teacher shortage, but we want to make sure that our students are still served and still are equipped with the skills that they need when they graduate. So we are looking into those partnerships to see what we can do to support our needs, but also reduce costs. We're also being a little more explicit about our CCR needs to the community and to university partners. I think sometimes college and career readiness is a lot of fun, but maybe in the fun, we haven't been as clear as to what we need and what supports we need to help our students to get to the next step, especially in ACT prep. So we're going to be doing that through promoting after school and in class tutoring options with math instructors. We've been connecting test performance with real world benefits to kind of let students know, like, hey, if you do X, Y, Z, this is how you will benefit, and this is how it will translate into real life for you. We've done a really good job of recognizing and incentivizing performance through extra graduation tickets, because who doesn't want a huge cheering section at graduation for them? And then also recognition throughout the school on bulletin boards and, of course, the graduation program. And then finally, we want to make sure that students are clear or a little bit more clear on how to access ACT prep. So a lot of I think it was maybe an untapped resource is that we have varsity tutors as an option for all of our students in the district. So if they need a little additional help outside of school hours, our students can access through their Clever varsity tutors on any topic. They also offer ACT prep, both live courses and on-demand courses. So making it a little bit more clear on how students can access that. Next slide, please. So a couple of the follow-up questions from the DESE public hearing. So when does preparation start for college and career readiness in Riverview Gardens? Technically, it starts in elementary school. As you already heard in the earlier presentation, we work on the fundamentals and the foundations, because if our students have strong reading skills, then they can then do and take on these courses, they can take these classes, and they can take harder classes, and they can be ready for college level courses by the time they hit sophomore year. So college and career readiness starts as early as elementary school, but formal conversations really begin in 7th grade, because the state requires that all students have an individual career and academic plan by the 8th grade. Do we offer dual enrollment and dual credit opportunities for students? The answer is yes, we do. Last year, we graduated 5 students with not only just their high school diploma, but also with their associate's degree. And also, as you saw on our earlier slide, we had 121 students also participate in dual credit opportunities as well. So at least 40% of our students are graduating with some college credit when they walk across that stage that can transfer anywhere they go. How does the district track student performance on each college and career readiness measure? So internally, we have a tracker. This tracker was actually developed by one of the members on this board in another district that we served in. And this tracker is individualized for every single student. And so it tracks every single point that we can get. So that way, when this presentation that's normally given in April, it's not a surprise to the board that, hey, we're going to get points here, we're not going to get points here, and that we know internally how we are doing and what things that we need to adjust or change in the future and going forward. And then finally, what are the next steps? So the next steps is, again, continuing to press the students the importance of retaking ACT. The steps are encouraging students to connect to our CTE programs and staying in them. A lot of our students sometimes want to graduate early, but I think having those informative conversations about the benefits of sticking with it and sticking through to graduations to get that individual recognized credential is important. And then also working with our college partners with ACT prep so that our students can perform. As you saw in earlier slides, we are about 35%, and we're close. That is literally about 10 more students to get to that 40%, so we can get 5 points in CCR assessments. Next slide, please. And so even though we have these challenges, our students still succeed. And so again, as I stated earlier, we have our first cohort of early graduate students, but actually over the weekend, I had one of my 2023 students reach out to me. She said, y'all should be in school on a snow day. I said, girl, you were begging for these snow days. But while she was saying that, she was really saying that because she will be graduating a year early from Harris-Stowe State University, and she has been hired on at the University City Police Department, making a lot of money. I don't want to say how much, but a lot of money. And I think that just shows that our district provides opportunities for students, and they can be successful. It hasn't been a barrier for a student to do the things that they want to do if they take advantage of the opportunities and the resources that we have here in our on our campus. 35% of our graduates complete high school with some sort of credit, college credit, or a stackable credential that makes them competitive in the workplace and in college. And so I think that if we just kind of continue to help students to identify their own potential and motivate them, as well as educate the family, because it is, it is a community endeavor, I think that we will see our parents in those areas that we identified as needing support rise. Last slide, please. And so in short, we have, I think if students have the resources and the support and the celebration, they can excel. And our students, are really great students, and we just need to continue to invest in them. We need to continue to, show them kind of the way and a bigger picture, and keeping them open-minded. And I just think that as we continue to move on, the College and Career Committee will continue to monitor the impact of the college and career steps under MSIP 6 for student success. Sorry, success ready students. Sorry, it's been a long day. It has been a long day. And with that, I'll take any questions.
You did great.
Thank you.
I got a question.
Okay, Ms.
I
Tisworth.
got a question. As far as your students with text anxiety, What are you doing for them? I remember when I was in college, I had test anxiety, and I used to have to make up cards or something similar to the questions they might ask us in the book. So so I won't be, it won't, when I see it, it won't blow my mind because I've already exposed myself to it. So with the students with text anxiety, and you already can identify them, could you, like, at some point with each class, reading, math, and all that, just make up when they test in the class period, just have them exposed to those type of tests, those type of questions?
Yeah, so a lot of our students, especially in the core classes, they have what's called do nows. And so in the first 10 minutes of class, the teacher kind of has a question on the board about what content they'll be covering that day and how it's related to ACT or work keys or whatever standardized test. I think for our students, while some of it is not necessarily exposure to material, I think a lot of it is they're worried about, am I going to do well? I think what I have encountered with our students is that they really internally want to do well. And if they feel like they aren't going to do well, they don't want to try. I think some of the things that we can do, and this is something that we can talk to the counseling staff about, is how to manage anxiety in general, and how to approach things that we are scared of, because I think even as adults we get scared, and sometimes we don't want to do things that we have to do, and so we put it off and we put it off, and so I think it's about giving kids real life skills to manage not only just like things like test anxiety, but anxiety in general. And so I think that's a really great point. And that is something that I could definitely work with the student support services team to figure out how we can talk to students about managing anxiety, and then particularly with tests.
Yeah, and then when you put the question on the board, instead of writing ACT or whatever, telling them what it's going to be on the test, just put the question on the board.
Yes.
Don't tell them where it's coming from, and let them answer that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they're going to run away from when they see that on the board.
Yeah. And I can definitely work with our CNI team to figure out how can we integrate the questions so that it's comfortable for students. I think that's what you're saying, is that how do we integrate test questions so that it's comfortable for students when they see it? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. May.
Yes, great job. I wanted to know, I know you mentioned that we have some partnerships where they can do some prep, but we don't have an ACT course, right? Like that's being offered in the school.
We do. We have ACT
Okay.
English. But we do have a math teacher this year who expressed interest in wanting to do that next year. So I said, well, tag you're it, So he did express there is a math teacher, but as of right now, it is just ACT English.
Okay. Are we offering pre ACT assessments for middle school students at all?
No. So, and that is really because it's a budgetary thing. So back when I was with the district in 2010-ish, we used to administer the pre-ACT and the ACT Explore and Plan test. But just given some of the budget constraints, that is just something that we'll have to pick up once we're able to right size our district, especially with the budget.
Do a lot of our students take advantage of testing at our site, or are we offering ACT on site and they're testing on the weekends with our schools? Okay.
Yes. So actually, thank you for that, Dr. May. So we offer the test in school. So because we know our students work. And so we offer the test in November, and then on March 10th, 2026, the juniors and any untested seniors we as a district, we pay for them to take the ACT in school. If they, might miss it or they don't feel that they are ready, we are also a national test site as well. And so we offer the students to take the test in October and December, normally in February, but ACT didn't think that through this year. They have ACT on Valentine's Day, and the registration numbers were, especially from our students, were low. So we decided to cancel in April, and then we are thinking about expanding to June, just depending on student interest. So yes, students have an opportunity on a national test date and in school to take the ACT. And then for ACT work keys, anytime a student wants to take it, as long as I'm not pushing into a classroom, a student can take the ACT work keys. That doesn't require any pre-registration for that.
Okay, and what's been explored for the expansion? Like what content area or pathway
For
is being?
CTE?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the first one is health sciences, because there are a lot of students who are interested doing something in healthcare. And so within St. Louis Community College's CTE Academy, they specifically are focusing on those fundamental classes like biology, like medical terminology, CPR, those classes to get them ready. So if they want to apply to the nursing program, if they want to apply to a patient tech program, when they graduate high school, they can do that. So that's one. And then the second one that I think that will draw a lot of student interest is advanced manufacturing. We have a lot of students who are interested in construction, but as I look at their work key scores, they could do easily just as well at advanced manufacturing, and start off making six figures working at a company like a Boeing, like a Lockheed Martin, not only just working on planes, but even working in manufacturing in general. And so I think those two programs are going to see a lot of interest from our students. In fact, the CTE application is already open, and it's been sent to students and parents, and I already have 20 applications, and the application isn't even due until the end of the February. So our students, for the expansion for CTE, those are those options that they have at the community college.
How have we utilized the students who have scored well to support their peers with prep? Have we utilized them in the past in any type of way?
Maybe not as a tutor. I would say maybe as a poster child. So, for example, we have what's called the 21 Club. So if they score a 21 or higher, they get a t-shirt, they get extra graduation tickets, and they're named in the graduation program. I think with students who have gotten those, what I have encouraged them to do is to kind of share their secrets, because peer-to-peer influence is going to be way higher than what Miss T. has to say. And I know that so for example, 2 years ago, we had a student score really, really high on the ACT, and that's because she took advantage of UMSL Bridges ACT Academy. And students hearing her testimony about how that helped her encouraged more students to apply last year, and then also even taking advantage of other ACT prep programs with TRIO and with the St. Louis internship program. I think that is kind of how we've utilized that, but in terms of peer-to-peer tutors, we have not.
Okay. I only have one suggestion. Since there is no age limit on who can take the test, it's $68. So I would actually recommend Dr. Patton that the staff take the test. And then that'll get them re-familiar with what it looks like, and because it may be a while since they've taken it, but it may be helpful for them to have that $68 covered, and they actually take the test, and that may help them with some strategies as well, and might help with their identifying some of their areas.
Yeah. So the test that is taken in the spring of their junior year, we as the district, we do cover that. We cover one, and then they get 2 fee waivers on top of that. So they have the opportunity to take the test for free 3 times.
Wow.
So that is something that we do cover. What we don't cover is the pre-ACT or ACT Explore. Those are those exams that are offered in middle school and 9 and 10.
I was recommending staff to take it.
Oh, you want us to take? Oh,
Yes, I was recommending staff that will be supporting the kids with prep in the tested areas like math, science, social studies, English to take it so that they can get refamiliarized with it. Yeah, that's what was my recommendation. But
ooh.
thank you. That was an awesome presentation. Yep, that'll be something that will give them some insights into ACT.
Okay, next we'll have Ms. Wanda Lane, and then after that, Dr. Ramsdale.
Ms. Tejan, thank you so much for all that you do, number one. A lot of my questions have been answered, but regarding there a couple. I recall you saying regarding the test taking process, a lot of our students are challenged with sitting still long enough to take a test for 4 hours. And that's a bit disconcerting, but I understand if children have not been taught the discipline of being still, I can see how that would carry over into this kind of activity. So maybe perhaps that you can have some conversation with some of your peers who are teaching in younger and in lower grades that yes, I know we want the child to be able to learn in the environment which he or she is most comfortable, but I don't know how deliberate we are in actually requiring our children to sit still for any amount of time. And this is the result of those kinds of deficiencies in our just the child's personal personality and development. So that's one thing. And then the second thing that second question I had was regarding the North County Tech. Are any students expressing any interest in plumbing and electricity, electrical works, carpentry, anything like that?
Yes, ma'am. So actually, last year when I came before the board, I told the story of Ajori Green. He was a 2023 graduate. He also did plumbing at North County Tech. And then after graduation, he went to Rankin for 8 months to get a certificate, and now he is in the Champions program through the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union. So we do have a lot of students who are interested, and actually even right now, as I've been pushing into freshman advisory classes, I've been helping students complete those North County Tech applications because those applications are due March 1st, and we want to make sure that our students, especially if they're interested in those trades like carpentry, like construction, like automotive, like plumbing, that they're at the top of the list for consideration. Yes.
Do we have do you have uh, people in those professions to come and well, any kind of way, make any presentation to any students? I mean, how are we engaging the community in that?
Yes, so that's a great question. So at the beginning of the year in September, actually, it was October 1st this year, we had a college and career fair. So we had members of the trades to come to our college and career fair to expose students. But we also participate in what's called Build My Future. And it happened to be on the very same day as my college and career fair. So our students who are more tactile, who are more hands-on, they went off site. They went to the community college for the day, and they literally it is like a college fair setup, but for trades. And they came back making their own wood shop things where you put your tools in. Sorry, I'm not mechanically inclined. That's not my niche.
Toolbox. A toolbox.
Yes, toolbox. Yes.
How about that?
Listen, TaskRabbit is where I go when I need things fixed. I don't fix them. That's not my portion. But yes, they came back with Toolbox. They came back making other stuff that I had no idea. I just said, it looks like you did that right, son. So it looks like you did so go you. But yeah, so we have those opportunities. And then in the spring, special school district also kind of has another trades fair. And so that is something that we also promote and encourage not only just our students, but our families as well to attend, because my personal opinion is that it's never too late. And I feel like we know as adults, life is not linear. And so maybe you're not satisfied in the career that you have right now. Why don't you go to these showcases and try it out and also expose yourself to expose students. So those are just some of the few opportunities. We also have a our Project Mail Summit coming up, where we will be inviting the trades to come and talk to our young men about opportunities in different areas. And then also we have Lunch and Learn. So I do have organizations that do reach out and say, hey, we will buy you and the students lunch if you just let me sit and talk to them about opportunities in construction. And so I've had a couple of those. I've only had 2 this year. In the past, I've had more, but this year has just really been scheduling. I wanted to also talk about something you had said earlier about sitting still. So that is one of the reasons why we love actually work keys, because in work keys, you don't have to sit in one sitting. So I can break it up over the course of a couple of days. And so each section of the test is 45 minutes. And as long as I have the student completing all 3 sections by the end of the calendar year, it still counts. And so that is kind of our way. If we know we have a student who's just like, sitting for 3 hours is not my jam, let me try a different test. The work keys is that test for them that we encourage, and they can take it, that one particular section, as many times as they want until they get the desired score that they need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramsdale.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to also let you know that Project Lead the Way falls under this CTE program. Department of Education offers a Project Lead the Way grant. We've applied for that grant to expand our computer-based and engineering portion of the Project Lead the Way at the high school, and we have an interested teacher that is willing to help Miss Williams co-teach that.
Great.
Thank you for the additional information. I do have a question, Ms. Tejan, about the CTE expansion. Is AI a track anywhere in CTE?
Not yet, but we will. I say not yet because every year we go to NACD, which is the National Association for Career and Technical Education. And every year that conference, they tell us basically what the new industries are and what the new focus is, especially on the part of the government and what we can and can't do. So I will say, for right now, not yet. But last year I did attend a session, a breakout, where they kind of talked about automation and AI in industry. And I have a feeling that will be, there will be more sessions like that this year too. So stay tuned.
Okay.
And if I can piggyback on that, Project Lead the Way does have an artificial intelligence course as part of their computer engineering. That was something that we can consider as we expand also.
Great. Dr. May?
It was a question that I forgot to inquire about. Given the fact that you mentioned the sitting and all those different things, are we making sure that the IEPs are being submitted to ACT for the kids to do multiple testing and settings and stuff? Okay, I see your head moving.
Yes, so I work really closely with Miss Peters and her team, and they are really, really good about giving me the accommodations that I need. In fact, as soon as they request a student requests accommodations, the process is I reach out to her or the student's caseworker, and they give me the information that I need so that they have, whether it's extended time, whether it's large print, whatever their accommodations say that they need, that they do.
Yes, and I want to add, the kids can get breaks, but the time does not stop if they don't have an IEP. And
Correct.
that's the problem. So they can take a break, but the time continues to go. Yes, okay.
And we
Good
also,
job.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Miss.
I'm done. I promise you I'm done. We also provide our students snacks and things like that to kind of keep their stamina, because we understand, again, that this isn't something that they're used to, and it's something that we just have to, it's a skill that we have to grow, because especially if you're going into certain professionalized industries like teaching, like nursing,
Mhm,
whatever,
mhm,
you're going to have to take a standardized test. So we do provide
mhm.
snacks. We do provide things to kind of keep their blood sugar up, and snacks that they like, snacks that I don't like, but snacks that they like.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hejan. Great job. I did
Yes.
want to, when we had our DESE hearing, one of the things that came out of that after our discussion was presenting earlier so that we give our community and not only just our community, but also our teachers within our buildings an opportunity to understand how we get our points. How is it that we get points toward full accreditation? And so we wanted to do that. This is a great opportunity. Ms. Tejan mentioned that how some of our students struggle in math. It is proven that students who are in attendance every day do create a strong foundational level that they can continue to grow on. So parents, if you're listening, please make sure your students are at school. It is proven that students who remain with Riverview Gardens from kindergarten through graduation do extremely well and often graduate with scholarships. So I do want to say that. Again, good job, Ms. Tejan, for giving our community a better understanding of that, but also identifying what we can do better and how we're going to do it better. Ms. Tejan will be joining our district leadership team once a month so that we can keep this in front of us, just as we have our data person in our meeting, our weekly meeting. So thank you, Ms. Tejan. Madam President, that concludes our items for information.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pat. Now we will move to our item for discussion.
Our first item up for discussion is the Scheid Construction LLC. At the time of our executive director's retirement, the district was in the midst of several critical initiatives. It is essential that this work continues to ensure that effective planning and execution of the following projects. We have a lot of projects in front of us. We want to make sure we have a solid completion of the Prop-Best facility upgrades. If you will drive through our district, you will see that many of our facilities are upgraded, looks better. We have taken good care and been a good using our Prop S funding effectively to upgrade our district and to ensure our students are walking into schools that we would want them walking into. We also have the closure of Danforth coming up. That is going to take us into a boundary realignment that is coming. Outsourcing of some of our custodial service as a way to reduce costs. Also, the development of a 5-year capital projects plan, and then strengthening the support of our district facilities person who has now taken on that responsibility. Entering into a short-term contract with Scheid Construction from February through June 30th, 2026 will assist us in ensuring that we're able to finish all of these items effectively and to make sure that we are leaving our district positioned in a great place to start the 26-27 school year. Using Scheid Construction will actually reduce costs for us. It's not to exceed $48,000. However, when you look at Mr. Scheid's what his salary and benefits were, it far exceeds $48,000. Again, this is a short-term contract that will start in mid-February if approved by our board and will end on June 30th at the conclusion of the school year. Again, Mr. Scheit has experience in terms of closing schools and redrawing boundaries, as he's had that in several of his other positions. So it is recommended that the board approve the contract with Scheit Consulting, which will ensure that the above mentioned projects, district and operational decisions are effectively executed with professionalism. And this is a short-term contract that will end once again June 30th, 2026, with a cost not to exceed $48,000. Are there any questions?
If the board
I
decides,
do. I'm sorry.
this is
Go
Miss
ahead, Ms.
this is
Maria.
Veronica. If the board decides not to support this, is there someone else within the district that can continue to move us forward in this area?
Ms. Morio, we have our facilities director, our director of facilities. Mr. Scheit actually has experience in closing schools, redrawing boundaries, but I'll say this, if the board doesn't approve it, we will do the best job that we can do to make sure that we move our district forward. What I was looking for is to do it in the most effective way. And having a consultant with us that has done this will definitely help us do it in a more effective manner. So in answer to your question, I'm not sure that our current director of facilities person has the experience of closing schools and redrawing boundaries. I am sure that Mr. Scheit does. But I'll tell you that should the board not approve this, then we will do the best job we can to move our district forward and to make sure that we can open up 26, 27 effectively.
It was just a generic question. I was just curious. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll have Dr. May and then Ms. Lane.
Thank you. I wanted to know, Dr. Patton, as far as the contract or agreement, what are some items that may be missing? Will he need to have access to any particular equipment, any systems to transact some of the responsibilities? Because I don't see any mention of, what accesses he would need that we might need to have protections from, given the fact that he will now be in an external non-employee role. So I was just wondering what he would need access to, like if it would be a continuation of a district phone or vehicles or access to systems. Like what would be the types of things he accessed that should be in the contract?
So Dr. May, he won't have access to district phones or district vehicles. He will use his own vehicle. He will need access to our buildings because he will continue to work with contractors to finish the Prop S facility upgrades. Mr. Freeman will be working with him as well because it is important that we support Mr. Freeman as well. In terms of electronics, in terms of our maybe email system, he won't need access to that. He will communicate using his own devices. So as I see it, the only access he will really need will be to be able to access our facilities, getting in and out of buildings.
Okay, so nothing we wouldn't have to process. Somebody else will be processing any of the purchases or those types of things that might be system based.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then, I don't know if it's something to be asked, but I'm not really sure why we normally have situations where there's an opt for retirement versus continuing a year out. Instead of
Dr. May, I tried my best to keep Mr. Scheit in the position through the end of the year. He just didn't want to do it. He had his own reasons. So, but trust me, when he came to me and said that he was going to retire, I told him to leave my office. I didn't want to hear it. So I did try to retain his services, but for other reasons, he had to go ahead and retire.
Okay.
And I will say this, that when you look at the $48,000 versus replacing this position, this is much less than it will cost for salary and benefits for this particular position.
Okay. All right. That was the main things that I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Lane?
You pretty much have answered most of the, I have no consternation or concern. I believe continuity that is my most, this is someone who knows who knows our district, who knows the buildings. He's already done it. We have staff that he's familiar with. And it is a project that has to happen. So it isn't like,
Absolutely.
I don't see it as being optional. So I think that we would be, well, I know we're not voting on it tonight, but, or are we voting on it tonight? It's just item for
No, ma'am,
discussion, correct?
No, this will be on the consent agenda
This is
for
the
February 10th.
next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
So just the
But
continuity. Go ahead. Did we freeze up? Sounds like it.
Yes, we did. I would say go
We
ahead.
frozen. Okay, so I'll just finish what I was saying is that I just think that let's not let's not make this hard. This is a pretty much something that's very well needed. That's all. I'm glad he's willing to do it. And it's a contract and it's going to end in June. So we'll see what happens then.
All right, thank you. Ms. Shea, do we need to wait for Dr. Patton to unfreeze?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wait.
Well, maybe can you answer the question? Do he have his own company?
I don't know the answer to that. We'll wait for Dr. Patton. Based on the proposal, it looks like he has his own company.
Okay. That's what I thought I was hearing. How long? You don't know how long. I'm asking you all these questions, girl.
Madam Chair, I'd like to add that the contract is under legal review as well, so Dr. Patton can answer, any further questions, but I know that the contract is with legal.
Okay, thank you. I think Dr. Patton is back. Dr. Patton, you can unmute your back. I think we had a few.
I'm sorry. I thought you all, I was saying, hey, everybody's frozen. And it was me that was kicked out of the meeting. I don't know why. So I apologize to everybody. I don't know what was said, but yes, the contract is under legal review. I agree with Ms. Lane that if we want this done effectively, this is a big job. I want to make this very clear. Redrawing boundaries and closing a school is a major undertaking. And so I would prefer to do this successfully. And so I would ask the board to help this be done successfully and support this contract with Mr. Scheid. And with that being said, Madam President, that concludes my items for discussion.
I have one question. Can
Yes,
y'all hear
ma'am.
me?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have he had his own company? This has nothing to do with that.
Oh, I'm not sure how long he's had his own company, Ms. Tisworth.
Oh, because he did a good job with us. So, okay.
He did. And trust me, I tried my best to keep him. I offered him every kind of incentive I could without it being monetary. And it was just time for him to retire.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, Dr. Patton. May I have
Thank you.
motion to adjourn open session and reconvene closed session?
So move.
I second. It's Wanda.
Okay. It has been moved by Ms. Tisworth and seconded by Ms. Lane. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good
It's
night.
not